Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. André Gide. Imagine a young man who, despite possessing the physical attributes of an adult, continues to live as if he were a child. He shies away from responsibilities, evades challenges, and seeks refuge in fleeting pleasures. Does this scenario sound familiar? Carl Jung identified this phenomenon as Puer Aeternus, the archetype of the eternal child. Marie-Louise von Franz, 1915-1998, a Swiss psychologist, author, and prominent scholar in analytical psychology, pioneered by Carl Gustav Jung, explored this concept in depth. Marie-Louise von Franz provided a critical warning: the Puer Aeternus fears reality, as reality carries the weight of responsibility and the necessity of decision-making. But why do so many men fail to mature? What prevents them from leaving childhood behind and stepping into true independence? Today, we will uncover the root causes of this issue and, most importantly, how to overcome it. What is Puer Aeternus? Various mythologies feature representations of the Puer Aeternus, or the eternal boy. Childlike deities such as Hermes and Dionysus symbolize youthfulness, freedom, and an adventurous spirit. However, what happens when this archetype manifests in an unbalanced way? Carl Jung described this behavior as a disruption in the process of individuation, the psychological journey toward maturity. In his view, a man who remains trapped in the Puer Aeternus mindset never truly separates from childhood. He refuses to embrace responsibility and instead perceives life as an endless adventure, devoid of commitments and limitations. Marie-Louise von Franz, one of Jung's most renowned disciples, examined this phenomenon extensively and issued a crucial insight. The Puer Aeternus fears reality, as reality carries the weight of responsibility and the necessity of decision-making. Modern society only reinforces this behavior. With limitless technology, constant entertainment, and a culture that glorifies instant gratification, many men see no compelling reason to grow up. The problem is that this avoidance comes at a cost. Without maturity, life becomes stagnant. Anxiety, frustration, and a lack of purpose become constant companions. Gradually, the man who never grew up realizes that his eternal youth is not a blessing, but rather an invisible prison. But what truly causes this phenomenon? The answer lies in childhood roots and the maternal complex. The root of the problem, the maternal complex. Carl Jung believed that the bond between mother and child was one of the most powerful psychological connections in the human psyche. When this relationship is not well balanced, it can give rise to the maternal complex, a set of unconscious patterns that keep a man emotionally bound to an infantile dependency. Jung famously stated, "The greatest burden a child can bear is the unlived life of its parents." This implies that, in many cases, emotionally unfulfilled mothers project their unmet needs onto their sons, preventing them from developing fully. Marie-Louise von Franz reinforced this idea by stating that a man who fails to break free from maternal influence will remain an eternal adolescent, incapable of making mature decisions and taking control of his own life. In many situations, the mother plays a contradictory role. While she encourages her son to grow, she also fears losing him. This creates a toxic emotional dependency in which the son feels unsafe stepping out of his comfort zone. In today's world, this dynamic has only worsened. The absence of active father figures leaves the mother as the sole emotional reference, making the transition into adulthood even more challenging. Jung observed that a man who fails to separate from his mother will remain psychologically trapped in a childlike world. The result? Men who, even in their 30s or 40s, continue to live as adolescents. They fear challenges, avoid responsibilities, and seek refuge in trivial distractions. But what could help them finally mature? Historically, societies had rites of passage that marked the transition from childhood to adulthood. However, in the modern world, these rites have largely disappeared, leaving young men without a clear path toward maturity. Now we will delve into the importance of initiation rites and the absence of a paternal figure in the life of modern men. In traditional societies, there were ceremonial rites that signified the shift from childhood to adulthood. These rituals served to sever emotional ties with the mother and prepare young men to take on responsibilities. Mircea Eliade, a distinguished historian of religions, described these rites as a process of symbolic death and rebirth. During these ceremonies, young men were physically separated from their families, subjected to intense challenges, and ultimately welcomed back as fully initiated adults within their community. Carl Jung emphasized this necessity by stating, "Without a rite of passage, the young man remains psychologically bound to the world of childhood, unable to discover his true self." However, in the modern era, these rites have all but vanished. What was once a crucial stage in character development has been replaced by a prolonged adolescence, where many men never truly detach from their emotional dependency on their parents. Moreover, the paternal figure has lost its essential role in this transition. Traditionally, the father was responsible for guiding his son away from maternal dependency and teaching him how to navigate the complexities of adulthood. Yet today, many fathers are either emotionally or physically absent. Jungian psychotherapist James Hollis references a troubling study. Only 17% of American men reported having had a positive relationship with their fathers. This means that the vast majority grew up without a strong masculine role model, making the journey into maturity even more difficult. Jung further stressed that the father must serve as a guide for his son, showing him the path beyond maternal protection. Without this direction, young men often find themselves lost, with no clear blueprint for maturity. But what happens to those who never undergo this crucial process? They become consumed by a spirit of regression, remaining psychologically anchored in childhood. The spirit of regression and its consequences. Carl Jung described the spirit of regression as one of the greatest threats to psychological growth. When a man fails to undergo the maturation process, he becomes trapped in childhood, constantly seeking the comfort and security he once knew. He wrote, "Anyone who avoids confronting their inner shadows and challenges will inevitably be consumed by them. The Puer Aeternus, unable to cope with the responsibilities of adulthood, seeks refuge in distractions, video games, social media, pornography, and shallow entertainment. He prioritizes immediate gratification and avoids any form of suffering or frustration, perpetuating a vicious cycle of escapism." Marie-Louise von Franz issued a crucial warning. The spirit of regression keeps an individual under the illusion that there will always be time to mature in the future, while his real life slips away in the present. Modern society reinforces this archetype by offering endless avenues for escape. With few real challenges and no pressing need to fight for survival, many men see no compelling reason to grow. Jung also noted, "He who resists change and growth condemns himself to a life without meaning." The consequences of this regression are severe: chronic dissatisfaction, anxiety, low self-esteem, and a deep existential emptiness. Many men realize too late that they have wasted years or even decades stuck in a state of perpetual adolescence. However, there is a way to break this cycle. The solution is not easy, but it is the only path that can truly free an individual from the grip of the Puer Aeternus archetype. How to overcome the Puer Aeternus archetype. Breaking free from the Puer Aeternus is not a simple process. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and the courage to leave behind the comfort of childhood and embrace the responsibilities of adult life. Carl Jung stated, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This suggests that the first step toward transformation is acknowledging and confronting one's own fears and weaknesses. Marie-Louise von Franz emphasized, "Maturity only occurs when an individual commits to something greater than their own immediate needs and desires." In other words, the solution to the Puer Aeternus is not found in avoiding suffering, but in discovering a meaningful purpose in life. Some essential steps to achieving this transformation include 1. Accepting reality, understanding that adulthood demands sacrifice and effort. 2. Developing self-discipline, establishing a structured routine while avoiding empty distractions. 3. Taking on responsibilities, engaging in work, education, and healthy relationships helps build character. 4. Facing challenges. True growth occurs outside of one's comfort zone. 5. Seeking mentors, learning from experienced men who can provide guidance and inspiration. Jung stressed that the purpose of life is not merely to be happy, but to find meaning in one's existence. The transition into maturity is not easy, but it is the only way to attain autonomy, purpose, and genuine fulfillment. Life is shaped by choices. Remaining trapped in the Puer Aeternus may seem comfortable, but it ultimately leads to an empty and aimless existence. As Carl Jung wisely noted, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Maturity does not happen by accident. It requires effort, courage, and a commitment to personal growth. True freedom is only achieved when we take full responsibility for ourselves. If this message resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear this. The first step toward change begins now. Thank you for watching this video. We ask that you subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, activate the notification bell to stay updated on our latest posts. See you in the next video.